Finance Committee will come to order, and we are happy to welcome the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, this morning. Everyone here, regardless of political views, understands that the FDIC, the Fed, and the Treasury Department are putting in long hours to contain the fallout of the recent bank closures. The process is moving forward under existing law. Investigations are underway at the SEC and the Department of Justice. Senator Brown, chair of the Banking Committee and a valued member of this committee, is determined to get to the bottom of exactly what went wrong. Nerves are certainly frayed at this moment. One of the most important steps the Congress can take now is to make sure there are no questions about the full faith and credit of the United States. That means paying the bills incurred by presidents of both parties and taking a default off the table. With respect to the budget debate, after a request from myself and Senator Whitehouse, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office did the math on the recent fiscal promises we've heard from House Republicans. The promises pile up, but the numbers don't add up. They wish to balance the budget in 10 years, but they've announced a long list of untouchables. No reductions in defense, no cuts to Medicare or Social Security, no touching veterans programs, no asking the wealthy or corporations to pay their fair share. A couple of these items could get bipartisan support, certainly not all of them. Senator Whitehouse and I asked the Congressional Budget Office to run the numbers. Is it even possible for Republicans to stand behind those commitments? Does the math add up? Madam Secretary, you and I have talked about this. The numbers don't add up, not even close. What the Budget Office found is that for Republicans to make the math work, they'd have to cut every federal program by 86%. Goodbye to Medicaid and the guarantee of nursing home coverage, which I saw when I was director of the Great Panthers. The border would be unprotected. Roads and bridges would crumble. If Republicans wanted to extend the Trump tax law, they'd have to cut everything else. Given that, it's not a big mystery why House Republicans haven't yet put a budget on paper, budget to show the public. They're living way, way out there. Democrats are following a smarter approach. The president's put out a budget that's based on a simple proposition. Help working families, help the middle class get ahead, reduce the deficit at the same time, and show that these matters are not mutually exclusive. I'm just going to highlight a few budget matters that are important to the Treasury. First, last week, the committee had a very good bipartisan hearing on affordable housing. This is an area where I believe there's a clear opportunity for bipartisan cooperation. The budget proposes expanding the low-income housing tax credit, creating the neighborhood homes program, and other ideas. Senator Cantwell, Senator Cardin, Senator Young, they're championing bipartisan efforts. I'm going to work with them closely on these proposals and more. This crisis needs a solution. There is no substitute. You and I have talked about this as well, Madam Secretary, for increasing supply of housing. Second, the budget calls for expanding two of the most significant sources of support for working people and families, the child tax credit and the earned income tax credit. When the Congress passed these expansions in 2021, there were huge, almost immediate reductions in poverty. With a little bit of help, millions of working Americans felt like they could breathe for the first time. I'd like for them to have that feeling of relief once again. And third, we've talked for a long time about the need to address the basic unfairness of America's two-tiered tax system. One set of rules for people who work for a living, firefighters, nurses, teachers. They pay their taxes out of every paycheck. Then there's another set of rules for the very wealthy who can pay what they want, when they want to, and for years on end, little or nothing. Although the President and I have proposed slightly different ideas for addressing the unfairness, we are rowing in the same direction. One final issue. I have got serious concerns about the administration's approach to implementing a portion of the Inflation Reduction Act that deals with sourcing critical minerals. Free trade agreements cannot be unilaterally decided by the executive branch. They require consultation and consent from the Congress. That includes any agreement on critical minerals. Secretary Yellen, thank you again for being with us. I know you've got a hectic schedule. We're going to have a wide-ranging discussion. We look forward to question and answers, and I understand that you've got a hard stop at 1 o'clock, so we'll all try to keep them short and get to questions. Senator Crapo.